was an orphan lost at the fall, running away when I'd hear you call. Father, you worked your will. I had no righteousness of my own. I had no right to draw near your throne. Father, you loved me still. And in love before you laid the world's foundation, you predestined to adopt me as your own. You have raised me up so high above my station, and I'm a child of God by grace and grace alone. Your home to seek out the lost. You knew the great and terrible cost. Jesus, your face was set. I worked my fingers down to the bone, but nothing I did could ever atone. Jesus, you paid my debt, and by your blood I have redemption and salvation. Lord, you died that I might reap what you have sown, and you rose that I might be a new creation. And I am born again by grace and grace alone. I was in dark.
Hey everybody, good morning. Welcome to Cornerstone Community Church. My name is Kyle. I'm the pastor here, and what I want to do today is introduce you to our brand new staff member joining us in Smith Falls, Ontario. His name is Joshua Burley, almost Joshua Beardley. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
correct.
Absolutely. So we want to give you guys an opportunity to get to know Joshua. And so we're going to play a game called Burning Questions. All right, so here's how it's going to work. Joshua has not heard these questions before. He is going to need to answer honestly, and he's got to buzz in after he answers the question. So show us what you're buzzing with, Joshua.
An operation table.
All right, welcome to COVID production value.
Come on now.
All right, here we go, guys. All right, Joshua, finish this sentence.
Okay.
My most irrational fear is?
Spiders.
Beautiful. I feel pretty when?
Someone compliments me.
All right. Your go-to karaoke song is?
A Whole New World from Aladdin.
Right now, A Whole New World. Go.
Don't you dare close your eyes.
Beautiful. All right. All right. Your best Arnold Schwarzenegger impression.
Get to the chopper.
Okay. Weirdest thing you've ever done to impress a girl.
Ate something gross.
You got to up your game, my friend. All right, guys, welcome to Cornerstone. Want to let you know, here's what's going to go on in the next few minutes. We're going to have some songs, and the words are going to be on the screen. Love for you to sing along. Then I'm going to share with you just a short and encouraging word here in this season. So love for you to share this right now. Never underestimate the power of a share to encourage somebody in your circle of influence. I want to thank everybody who's given. If you want instructions on how to do that, go to our website, cornerstonelively.com. But if you're new, I don't want your money. We don't want your money. What we want you to do is fill out the I'm New card. We're going to send you an email, and you get to choose from a list of charities in this area which one we will donate to on your behalf, just to celebrate the fact that you're joining us today. So thankful that you're here. Please engage during the gathering. Leave comments, talk to one another, pray for one another, guys. It's going to be great. And please join me in welcoming A Whole New World, Joshua Burley.
My days will sing of the goodness of God.
A couple weeks ago, I had a dream that I remembered. I gotta tell you, I dream all the time, I'm sure of it, but I very seldom remember my dreams. And so when I do, it's quite remarkable. But I loved this dream. I dreamt that I was surrounded by about 15 people, and each and every one of them were taking turns trying to attack me. Now I know that kind of sounds like a, Bruce Lee 70s karate kung fu movie, not very realistic, but it's what was happening, and each one of them tried to attack me individually, taking turns. What you need to know about me is that my third place after home and after work is the gym to train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And in that dream, I beat the ever-loving snot out of each and every one of those people. And I had so much fun. And I know you're thinking, as your pastor, you have some concerns that I enjoyed that so much. And well, I'm just gonna be honest with you today, that I really did. I had the best attitude that I have had in the last month, guys. I'm really grieving the loss of what was. Man, we had healthy rhythms, we had healthy routines, we had those things that we loved so much, and for many of us, they're just not there anymore, and it's not a realistic possibility. And I have thought often of the phrase, I didn't sign up for this. What I want to tell you today is that we will get to the other side of this coronavirus pandemic. Now, we don't know what it will look like when we get to the other side. We don't know when we will get to the other side. And something that we have shared with you already, and you've probably heard many churches saying, that we will choose faith over fear. And that is good, and that is true. We choose faith over fear because God is not surprised by this. God is in control. But as we evaluate and acknowledge our human emotion, in this whole process, I feel like that phrase, choosing faith over fear, just kind of falls short when I'm honest with you. Because it makes it seem, on the surface at least, that if I were to just choose faith over fear one time, that I'm never going to experience fear ever again. And that's not the truth. That I'm actually wrestling with both of those things at the very same time. And I don't just make that decision in one moment. I have to make that decision continually, and it's hard. Listen, I don't want to tell you what to think today, but I do want to let you know that if you are struggling with that very same idea, that I didn't sign up for this, and you're grieving what once was, and you're struggling with the idea of what will things look like when we come out on the other side, I want to let you know that you're not the only one. I don't want to tell you what to think. I don't want to tell you how you need to respond today, but I do want to let you know that you are not the first person, you're not the last person, and you're not the only person to wrestle with this very idea, even if you already follow Jesus. I want to encourage you today and let you know that this time in your life, this time in our world, that wrestling with that idea does not demonstrate a lack of faith, that this moment is actually an opportunity for you to grow in your faith. Because crisis will not bankrupt your faith. Crisis can be the opportunity to cultivate your faith. I want to show you today just a quick story from the Old Testament that you can read in the book of 1 Kings about a man named Elijah. He was a prophet, and he also struggled with this very same idea of, I didn't sign up for this. So first I want to ask the questions. Who is Elijah? What is a prophet? And what exactly happened to him? Guys, take a look at this and check it out for yourselves.
So in the Bible, prophets were not fortune tellers. Rather, they spoke on behalf of the God of Israel, and they played the role of covenant watchdogs, which means they called out idolatry and injustice among the kings and the people. They were constantly reminding Israel of their calling to be a light to the nations, that they should obey the commands of the Torah, and so the prophets challenged Israel to repent and follow their God. In these center sections for each king, God then raises up prophets to hold them accountable. And the most prominent prophets are the northern ones, Elijah and his disciple Elisha, right here in the center of the book. Elijah was a wild man of a prophet living out in the desert, and his arch nemesis was the northern king Ahab and his Canaanite wife Jezebel. Together, these two had instituted the worship of the Canaanite god Baal over Israel. And so in a famous story, Elijah challenged 450 prophets of Baal to a contest to see which god was real. So they both build altars and pray to their gods, but only the God of Israel answers with fire.
So King Ahab tells his wife Jezebel about what's just gone down, the 450 false prophets of Baal and how they have died. And Jezebel responds with such anger, and she sends this message to Elijah that says, the very same thing is going to happen to you, and I am going to kill you. And in fact, if I don't kill you, may God kill me. What is Elijah's response? Well, it seems like maybe it's the same response that many of us would have. Verse 3 says, then he was afraid, and he arose, and he ran for his life. You continue on in the text in verse 4, it tells us that Elijah hid under a tree, and he asked God to die. He wanted to die. Look, what can we learn from this? Whether you're a follower of Jesus or not, I think it's this. It's simple. It's okay to not be okay. Look, I'm not saying that it's great that Elijah was depressed and that he wanted to die. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I am saying is that he wasn't the first, he's not the only one, and he won't be the last. Look, we are experiencing the same emotional process of where we just are having a hard time handling what's going on in the world, and we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. We were in a great spot just like Elijah, and now we're in this spot where we're just not sure of what tomorrow will bring. What's the next press conference going to be about? What's the next thing that our prime minister is going to say? Hopefully something about speaking moistly, but we can only hope. We can only hope. It's okay not to be okay. And I want to tell you this, that your identity is not defined by your emotional response. Elijah said, I didn't sign up for this. Elijah wanted to die, but we do not define Elijah. His identity is not found in his lack. And in this moment where he was maybe a little bit far from God, that does not define who he is. Who is Elijah as we remember him? We remember him as this man of faith, this man who followed God despite his imperfection, and God still used him anyway. You know, somebody asked me the question, if I'm scared, does that mean that I just don't have any faith? Well, no, not at all. If you're scared, it doesn't mean that you don't have any faith. Just like if you have faith, it doesn't mean that you're never going to be scared. Look, it's not great that Elijah was depressed. It's not great that he had this moment where he ran and he hid and his fear was overcoming him. But he wasn't the first. He's not the only one, and he won't be the last. And he said, I didn't sign up for this. And maybe you're saying, I didn't sign up for this today. And if you are struggling with that statement, I want to let you know that you are not defined by your emotional response to this crisis. It's okay to not be okay. God gives you the things you don't know you need. Verses 5-8 says, and he lay down and he slept under a broom tree. And behold, an angel touched him and said to him, arise and eat. And he looked, and behold, there was at his head a cake baked on hot stones and a jar of water. And he ate and drank and lay down again. And an angel of the Lord came again a second time and touched him and said, arise and eat, for the journey is too great for you. And he arose and he ate and he drank and went in the strength of that food 40 days and 40 nights to Horeb, the mount of God. Look, Elijah didn't know what he needed. Elijah didn't really have any idea of what was coming next. Honestly, Elijah's plan was to hide under the tree and hope that God would allow him to die. But God had different plans for Elijah. He actually wanted to speak to him in this moment where Elijah's saying, I didn't sign up for this. God had different plans for him. But he also knew that Elijah wasn't going to make it on his own. And so he had something to give to him. He provided for Elijah the things that he didn't know he needs. And God provides for your physical needs as well. Sometimes that really does happen through supernatural miracles. There is something where there was not something. Here at Cornerstone, we believe that and experience that. But often we also experience God providing for our physical needs by speaking to the people that follow him and love him and saying, love one another like I have loved you. So I just want to tell you today that whether or not you follow Jesus or you've said yes to him, that we here at Cornerstone want to help to meet your physical needs. So go to cornerstonelively.com and click on Cornerstone Cares. Look, if you need help, we want to be there to help. And if you can provide help, whether you're a part of our church or not, we'd love to be able to partner with you and team up together to meet the physical needs that exist in this moment in history, in our community and beyond. But God is not just interested in meeting only the physical needs that you have. God is interested in meeting the spiritual needs that you have as well. And that was true for Elijah. You see, God had something to say to him, and Elijah is living in this moment where, of course, there's busyness, there are competing voices, there are things going on around him, and so God sent him to a quiet place where he knew that he could talk to him in a way that Elijah wouldn't hear it the same way if they remained where he was already. And so God sent him. But he didn't just send him, he sustained him with the physical food that he needed so that he could experience the spiritual food that he didn't know that he needed. And honestly, I wonder if in the middle of all of this COVID-19 crisis, if God is actually creating a quiet place for us, that if it will cultivate our faith, because God is giving us something that we didn't know we needed, a quiet place to hear what he has to say. Because God will speak to you in quiet places. Verse 11 says, and he said, go out and stand on the mount before the Lord. And behold, the Lord passed by, and a great and strong wind tore the mountains and broke in pieces, and rocks before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, the sound of a low whisper. And when Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in a cloak and went out and stood at the entrance of the cave. And behold, there came a voice to him and said, what are you doing here, Elijah? Look, growing up, I always thought this idea that if God spoke to somebody, that it would be like this loud, billowing voice from the sky that's, I am the voice of God. And although I believe that God is all powerful and he could do that, the reality is when I take a look at what he's already said to us in the Bible and what I've experienced in my own life, it's usually not those loud moments that God is speaking, but it's often the quiet places and the whispers where I hear the voice of God. God brings Elijah to this quiet place after a loud victory, and he brings him to this quiet place, and he speaks, but he doesn't speak in the wind, and he doesn't speak in the earthquake, and he doesn't speak in the fire, but he speaks in the whisper. And I just wonder, what if this moment in history doesn't bankrupt your faith, but cultivates it because it allows you to hear the whisper? You know, a number of years ago, I lived in a small community in the Yukon. And there was a man who literally lived in a cave. We called him Caveman Bill because his name was Bill. And he would live in this cave year round. And he had an exercise bike in his cave that was hooked up to a generator that would produce enough electricity for the food in his fridge to stay cold, and a single lamp that he would use to read. And that really was all that he had. And there was this sense of like, man, how cool is it that there is genuinely a caveman living here in this community? And I've often thought to myself, what is it that fascinated us so much with Caveman Bill? Why is it that so many people thought it was so cool? And I've kind of come to this place where I think that maybe the reason that people were so intrigued by Caveman Bill was because we typically live these lives where there is no margin. We typically live a life that is so busy and occupied and scheduled, and we feel like there are so many competing loud voices for our attention that we live in a space where it's almost never quiet. But maybe, just like Elijah, who's hiding in a cave, he's in self-isolation. Maybe, just maybe, God is giving us what we didn't know that we needed: a quiet place. An opportunity to hear his voice. I just want to give you 2 quick next steps that you can take today. Number 1, if you're struggling and you're saying, hey, I didn't sign up for this, and you, like me, have been on that journey of wrestling with choosing faith over fear, but feeling both of them at the same time, I just want to encourage you to admit that. Just admit it to yourself and admit it to God. Listen, he's big enough and he knows already, but you saying that to him is going to help. So admit where you're at this morning, and maybe you're not struggling. And if you're not, well, then that's great, and you can come and help me. But I want to tell you today that wherever you're at, I believe this is actually a moment in history where God is creating a quiet place for us to hear from him. And so let's embrace this moment. That doesn't mean we have to love what's going on, but take advantage of the opportunity that we have and just pray, and then take some time to quietly listen to what he has to say. And look, maybe you've never prayed before, or maybe you've never said yes to Jesus before, and this is all new to you, but even the thought of just experience, maybe there is some purpose in the pain. Maybe you just join us in praying today, and I'll do that, and you can join along with me at home if you like, or you can press pause and put it in your own words. But Father God, I just ask in this moment right now that for all of us, even those of us who really have questions and aren't sure if we believe in the idea of a God, or maybe we do believe in the idea of a God, but we're not really happy about that idea, but maybe, just maybe, if there is something that you're trying to say to me in this moment, help me to just tune my ears to what it is that you are trying to say, so that I can have an opportunity to receive that and respond to it. Look, if you have never said yes to Jesus before, I want to invite you to do that right now, because there is peace that you can experience in the midst of pain. And the way that you experience that is by saying yes to Jesus. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, so that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. I want to let you know it's as simple as saying this: Jesus, I believe that you died for me. I believe that you paid the price for my sin. And because of what you've done, that I get to live eternally with you in heaven. Look, if you've just prayed that, if you've said that, or even thought that, say it out loud and send me an email, kyle@cornerstonelively.com. We want to celebrate you. We want to be able to connect with you. We won't spam you, but it's the best decision that you could ever make. Don't miss out on the opportunity of what God is doing in this moment in your life. Maybe this crisis won't bankrupt your faith, because this crisis can be the opportunity to cultivate your faith. Have a great day, guys. We'll see you soon.